welcome to a new episode of the Straight Wrestling Voices of the Indies podcast. I'm your host, Morbo, and with me, as always, everyone's favorite US independent wrestling fan, Sebastian.
Thank you as always for the introduction, Morbo, and welcome everyone to this week's episode of Straight Wrestling Voices of the Indies. And our guest today is a real veteran, especially of South Carolina, North Carolina, also Southeast, independent wrestling in the US in general. He has been to so many different places, and we are very happy to have him as our guest today. And therefore, I want to say thank you for taking the time. Welcome, Rob Killjoy.
Hello, quack, quack.
So, for the people who don't know who you are, who is Rob Killjoy?
Well, I'm the Ugly Duckling, the duck man. I go out there and I flip around the ring and I fly and I quack and I get the crowd quacking and I hit hard and I'm deceptively athletic. And, I don't look like much. I don't look like a normal wrestler would, but that's kind of my appeal. I'm a little bit different, a little outside the box. Quack, quack.
Yeah, so how would you describe your wrestling character as well as the Ugly Sucklings or Ugly Ducklings, which you are part of?
Well, I would just say that I'm the ultimate underduck, if you will. I fight. I don't quit. I've got a lot of heart. I've got a lot of passion. But overall, I'm just a duck who loves wrestling. I'm just out there quacking. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to make a name for myself. I'm trying to win championships and make more money and sell some T-shirts.
How did you get into wrestling as a fan and also as a wrestler?
Well, it's very strange. I'm not. A lot of people have that first memory of wrestling, like, oh, I remember my grandma sat me down, but I don't have that. I just have always watched wrestling as long as I can remember. I've just always loved it. I don't know who introduced me to it. I'm not sure, but I just always was obsessed with it. My dad was very frustrated with me when I was growing up because I would be jumping off the couch and drop kicking his friends and stuff in the back while they're sitting there. I just have always loved wrestling ever since I was a kid. I've been obsessed and my passion has never waned for it. So I've never gotten burnt out. I've never thought about quitting. I've never wanted to stop. This is all I ever wanted to do. But getting into wrestling as a wrestler, I was backyard wrestling when I was 13 years old for a few years. But when I was a senior in high school, we had to do a project, which counted for much of our grade. And I would always do my projects on wrestling. Well, we had to have a mentor, an expert in that field. And my aunt, with whom I was living at the time, she knew somebody who used to be a wrestler. So I got introduced to him. And the rest is history. I was 17 years old. I remember for my project, one of the things I was going to end up having a match. And he took me around where we were checking out some shows and stuff. I trained one time, and then I had my first match when I was 17 years old.
How would you describe the local independent wrestling scene in your home state of North Carolina?
Well, that depends on where you look, because it is hit or miss. There's a couple of real good places and a ton of really bad places. If you like to watch bad wrestling, definitely come to the Carolinas, because there's a lot of it. But I mean, it's everywhere, and I enjoy bad wrestling. It's very funny to me. But I like either wrestling that's really good or wrestling that's really bad. Mediocre wrestling does nothing for me. It doesn't grab me. But if it's really good, that's fantastic. If it's really bad, well, that's fantastic in a different way. But the Carolina indie scene, I would not say it's the best. I would not say it's the worst. But it's had its ups and downs over the years.
With people like the Hardys or Steve Corino being associated with North Carolina, would you say that they were an influence on you, or are there also other people who have been role models for you?
Well, one time, I remember I can't remember who it was. Someone said that the Ugly Ducklings were like if the Hardy Boys and the Bushwhackers had a baby. And I thought that was very appropriate. I've always loved the Hardys growing up, and we've been on multiple shows with them. They've been involved with us and stuff. We've done. We used to have a video series called the Duck Pond, and trying to think, it was like we've done a series of videos. We've done one with Jeff Hardy. We've done one with Matt Hardy. We've done one with Corino before. Steve Corino has been a big mentor and influence on me. I've known him for a long time. His son Colby is one of my very best friends. And yeah, they've been tremendously influential on me. And also especially Steve, more of a mentor role to a lot of the folks around here. But I've always gotten along with them, and I've enjoyed my time with them. And I always try to take the opportunity to learn from them when I'm around them.
For a long time, North Carolina especially got associated with Jim Crockett Promotions. Would you say that it still has influence of wrestling in North Carolina today? And do you draw inspiration from this old school kind of wrestling as well?
I draw inspiration from everywhere, be it old school wrestling, new wrestling, stuff that's not even wrestling, movies, TV shows, comedians, just anything. You can take inspiration from everywhere, just everyday life. But the I would say the Jim Crockett Promotions, yeah, it's definitely had an influence around here because a lot of the older fans still talk about it. And a lot of the people who were involved still do conventions and shows around here and make money. I mean, last night I saw Demolition Axe. He was there. And Barbarian. They were both on a show with me last night in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina. So definitely Jim Crockett Promotions has definitely had a big influence around here. And again, like I said, I watch everything. I like old wrestling. I like new wrestling. I try to combine all sorts of stuff into my style. So I'm not just one or the other. But Jim Crockett Promotions also has had a negative effect in some ways because a lot of these crappy 40-miler wrestlers around here, and I don't know if you know what a 40-miler is, but it's somebody who acts like they're somebody but never travels more than 40 miles from home to wrestle. And they wrestle maybe once a month or so, and then they act like all they need is the right opportunity for the right people to see them, even though they're out of shape, can't wrestle, can't cut promos, can't do anything. But then want to bash the people on TV for making money doing it because they don't agree with how they do it. But they have a lot of these guys who claim to be old school, who try to crap on the current product, who believe that, oh, well, this is the right way to do things and they're doing it wrong. But I feel the right way to do it is what makes you money, which is what you're always taught growing up in this business is the goal is to make money. But whenever you're making money in a way that they disagree with, now all of a sudden it's wrong. So it's just people have a very steadfast and hard-headed, myopic view of how wrestling can or should be sometimes, as opposed to being open-minded and being open to possibilities and evolution of wrestling, stuff like that. Sorry, I'm just rambling a lot. Yeah, if you ask me a question, I'll just ramble. Hopefully there's some semblance of an answer in there.
No, it was a great answer. You're probably one of the wrestlers with the most creative and diverse selection of merch items, from rubber ducks to Bob's Burgers, theme T-shirts. Would you say that merchandise is also a creative outlet for you and kind of like a part of your character's work?
Oh, absolutely. And like saying, you got to have something. You have to be creative because you have to figure out something to stand out. Everybody has black T-shirts with their names on it in white letters. That's boring. If I don't know who you are, I'm not a fan of you. Why would I wear that? But our stuff is colorful. It's cool looking. It's interesting. It's fun. You don't have to know who we are. You don't have to like wrestling. You don't have to like us to enjoy our merch, to want our stuff. It's like you might not even know who we are, but hey, you think that sticker that says Big Duck Energy is funny and you want that. You think hey, you're a big fan of Bob's Burgers? Well, we got a Rob's Burgers shirt, can't be sued because of parody law. Well, there you go. Oh, you like the Golden Girls? We got the Golden Quacks. We got something for everybody. If the kids can't afford a T-shirt, they could afford a duck call. They could afford a rubber ducky. They could talk their parents out of money for a sticker. There's just you got to have something for everyone. You got to have a variety, and you got to stand out. I don't want a black T-shirt with white letters with my name on it. That's just so passe. It's like, who's gonna pay for that?
According to Cage Match, you had your first match on November 13th of 2004 at the CWF Mid-Atlantic event. Can you tell us something about that match and the time when you started in the wrestling business as a whole, as well as CWF Mid-Atlantic as a promotion?
Well, Well, CWF Mid-Atlantic Promotion, that was that was the very first independent show I ever went to. I didn't know independent wrestling existed until well, I knew it like existed, but I didn't know it was so close to me. So I went and saw their show. It was February of 2004, I believe. And in February of 2005, I was on that show that I went and saw the year before. So I thought that was pretty cool. CWF as a promotion, they carried a lot of weight around here for a long time. They were like probably the promotion of the Carolinas for years. And then they just kind of fell by the wayside. They just shut down and, out of sight, out of mind, out of memory, I guess. But my first match, I remember looking back on it now, I'm wearing tennis shoes, I'm wearing jeans shorts, I'm wearing a Nirvana t-shirt. It was awful. It was terrible. But the match itself wasn't bad, because even though I had only trained once, I was so obsessed with wrestling and I'd been backyard wrestling that I could bump, I could sell, I could do a lot of stuff. I just needed stronger fundamentals. But I remember it was me and two guys who were, it was me and Red Hot Tim Blaze, who was one of my trainers, and this guy, the Mad Trucker Gary Stevens, and they were veterans, against my friend Sean Mayhem, who was training with me at the time, who had backyard wrestled with me. It was my friend at the time, and Rob. Well, he's Boogie Woogie Man Rob McBride now, but he was Rob the Bull McBride, and this guy Jay Money, who was who I still see around sometimes, and I remind him that he was in my first match and make him feel old. But I remember it was a 6-man tag. We did some cool stuff. The crowd was awesome. I remember I hit my finish on my friend. I hit it clean, got the pin. I was super excited, super happy. I had one backyard match after that, and I hated it. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore, because after getting in an actual ring in front of a crowd of people in an actual building, yeah, backyard wrestling is just not going to cut it anymore. That's just so I've just been chasing that high of that first match. So then I just started wrestling more, and I was also wrestling under a mask. So I was wrestling like twice. So I was just getting double experience. I would go train and I would just do whatever I could. I was just obsessed with wrestling. We would go train. They'd tell us take a break. I'd still be in the ring running the ropes and bumping and just doing what I could, because I didn't want to stop. That's where I wanted to be. And again, I'm just rambling. So hopefully you got some semblance of an answer out of that. I apologize. This is not very good podcast material. I'm awful at this.
Well, great answers, especially because they are getting to something I wanted to ask, because you talked about CWF Mid-Atlantic being important for North Carolina and for their independent wrestling scene. And you already mentioned Steve Corino being a mentor. And looking back on this, we definitely have to talk about PWF. What can you tell us about PWF, and how important is it, in your opinion, for independent wrestling in North Carolina, especially after CWF was gone, but also in the Southeast as a whole?
Well, I love PWF. It holds a special place in my heart. They do it like nobody else does. They do some interesting things. It's an interesting show, so it's definitely worth the price of admission to go check them out. You could also check out all of their shows and awesome events on IWTV. They just had one Friday night, I believe. I'm there for them on the 28th of this month at PWF. Lots of what can't be said about PWF? I mean, Steve Corino has a great mind for wrestling. He has just a great outlook. Steve Corino is the type of veteran that I love, that I want to be, because he understands the old school. He supports the old school, but he doesn't crap on the new kids who do things a little different way. He's supportive of it. He like me, whatever type of wrestling, as long as it's done well. If it's done well, then it's good. If the fans react, then it's good. Yeah, I don't like being told how I can or can't wrestle. There's so many different ways. There's so many different right ways to do it, and a lot of wrong ways to do it. But Steve Corino, he started PWF. He's still involved there. They're still running. Usually at least 2 or 3 times a month. They do student shows. They have a school. They're doing it the right way. They do some very interesting things. It's not just your run of the mill generic indie federation. Like it's a great place to be. Like, definitely look into their stuff. Check it out. They've got a great crop of upcoming new talent. They've got some good standbys. They've got veterans. They've got a good blend, a mix of people. They've got good current stars, past stars, future stars. It's fantastic promotion, and I put my stamp on it. Like I said, they're doing it the right way.
In PWF, you also held championships, the PWF Universal Six-Man Tag Team Championship in 2016. And in the same year, you also held the Firestar Pro Southeastern Championship. And referring to this, what are your memories of this title run? And maybe what are your thoughts on Firestar Pro Wrestling?
Oh, Firestar Pro Wrestling is another fantastic promotion. One of the best training schools in the Carolinas, ran by LeBron Cozone, very underrated. He's currently one of the champions at Deadlock Pro Wrestling right now. LeBron Cozone is immensely talented, but especially as a trainer. Like I would say 90% of his students come out of that school ready to go. And he'll put me in there with them. I've had Marcus Cross and Griff Garrison, I had their graduation matches with them. You have to have a certain number of matches where Ozone will sign off on you, and he trusts me to be kind of the litmus test and the measuring stick for some of his kids. I always enjoy working with kids and helping teach them. I'll go teach classes at Firestar sometimes at the academy. Me and Cozone, we go way back. Cozone and I, we go way back. But I think not enough people know about LeBron Cozone. I think not enough people know about Firestar Pro Wrestling. But anybody who learns about either of them is never disappointed. They learn a lot. I would recommend anybody just go check out Firestar Academy. Just go train there. Even if you're trained, go get in a training session there, because he's just a phenomenal trainer. All of his kids, they're like, seriously, 90% of his kids are awesome already, and they're gonna be even better. His kids, Jackson Drake, who's a WWE ID talent right now, Jay Malachi, or who's Javon Evans in NXT right now. They're Cozone's kids. They're fantastic talent. We got Ella Envy, former NWA women's tag team champion. It's a Firestar kid. There are just so many fantastic talents that are just coming through there, and I cannot put over that school enough. That's probably one of the best schools in the Carolinas. I would put the Crystal Coast Academy for PWF and the Firestar Academy for Firestar Pro Wrestling. Those are probably the two best places to train in the Carolinas right now.
We stay in 2016 because on December 15th of 2016, you appeared on television because you wrestled for Impact Wrestling. The show was called Impact Wrestling number 648, Total Nonstop Deletion, and you were a part of the TNA World Tag Team title match that many people will know it as the Tag Team Apocalypto match. What do you have to say about this match? And maybe also the whole Broken Hardys run, or the Broken Hardys universe at that time.
Oh, I thought it was super entertaining, and I was so happy to be a part of it. I thought it was super interesting. It was definitely a long day, and it was very cold outside. I remember that, and I remember man, you guys are bringing up a lot that I've forgotten about. See, I'm old. I've done this a long time, so I've got to uncover these memories. I remember it being very cold. I remember White Mike being very entertaining because that's what he does, but not a lot of people knew him at the time. So, when he ran away and screamed in the Apocalypto match, that was funny. I remember that Lance and we both took a choke slam from Abyss on the ground, and they didn't like the first take, so we had to do it again, and that wasn't great. I remember being very cold, and I remember Robert Gibson still wandering around whenever Ricky Morton and the Hardys had already gone next door to shoot their stuff, and they needed him, and he was just still over there with us. I remember just being in the backyard and just going over all this production stuff and being in the crowd. It was just a long day. There was so much to it, and it was just cold. And but I mean, it was fun just hanging out. And again, like I said, we know the Hardys, so we spoke to them a little bit and just tried to play our parts, do whatever was asked of us. Those are my main takeaways. That it was fun, but it was a long day. It was very cold, and I remember we ate some chicken. Yeah, it's hard to explain. It's just super fun. And I know, like, you had asked me about the titles earlier, and I didn't really give you answers about that, but I don't remember a lot about it. I know we were the PWF Trios champions for a while, and then we just kind of ended up, they weren't really using those titles anymore. And I remember the Southeastern champion. I think I was the longest reigning Firestar Southeastern champion up to that point. Possibly still, I don't know. But I know I was the longest reigning there for a minute. But yeah, I've done it, man. It's been a long, long time. I'm so old. I'm sorry, guys.
In 2016, you also started appearing for a promotion that you have worked for over the last years as well. And I'm talking about action-packed wrestling from Chester in South Carolina. Can you tell us some stories about the matches you had there?
Oh yeah, I think action-packed wrestling is a little hidden gem in the middle of nowhere in Chester, South Carolina. It's been around for a long time. My first time wrestling for them was in 2006. It was at a different building, but it's been around a long time. It's a bit of an institution in Chester, South Carolina. And it's not a very big town. There's not a lot to do there. So it's a great place to check out. I've had I've had a ton of matches there, but I've been their champion. I've been their tag champion. I was the booker for them for a long time. I don't know. Chester is like a home to me. I've wrestled Cedric Alexander there multiple times. We traded the APW heavyweight title. Cedric Alexander and I have had a ladder match there. We had a 2 out of 3 falls match. I've wrestled Sauer Nara there. I've wrestled Anthony Henry there. I've wrestled John Scholar there multiple times. Just a lot of just fantastic matches. And it's a place that a lot of people should know about, but not too many do. But it's one of those little places. It's a hidden gem in Chester, South Carolina, as I like to call it. But I've had some great matches there. I've had some not great matches there. But you know that happens wherever you've been doing it as long as I have. You can't always bat 1,000, unfortunately. And sometimes, I'm not great at baseball.
If we go on to 2017, it was probably the best year for you and Lance Lude as the Ugly Ducklings. You had the PWX, the Rockstar Pro, the NWA United States, and IPW United States Tag Team Championships. Was there a favorite one of these, would you say? And how do you remember these ones that you had in 2017?
Oh no, I would definitely say like it was just the whole run everywhere from I would say between the beginning of 2017 and the beginning of 2019. I think like that's when we really had something special. I think that we like not just all the tag team titles, of course, but just with how our matches were received, how our gimmick was received, us just finding ourselves, finding our characters, us finding our chemistry, developing that. Just, I mean, I think we had our stuff down to a science. Like we've literally showed up to a show before, wrestling guys we've never met, getting dressed while our music is playing because we were late because we had to drive from Chicago to New York, and just whatever we could do, and just going out there and killing it because I feel like there for a while, for a couple year period, we could do no wrong. We were locked in. We just had it down, and we were all over the place. We were in Florida. We were in California. We were in Minnesota. We were in Georgia. We were in Chicago. We were in New York. We were just everywhere. And out in Ohio, of course, being the Rockstar Tag Team Champions, that was a big deal to us because that was also around the time that like a lot of their guys started getting to TNA and stuff like that. So it was just or Impact Wrestling at the time. But it was just that whole run just for a couple of years, man. I've probably forgotten more about it than I remember, but I just know like we just had our schedule down. We just had like I feel like we just had a excellent run. I think we really had something special, and I just hate that we were unable to capitalize on it.
In 2017, you also appeared for 2 like more known companies also outside of your region, which were CCW and GCW. Would you say that bookings like these put you more on the map also outside of your home region?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And like and GCW and I we've still worked for them like just up last year I was on GCW, like so whenever they're around the area I'd have a decent relationship with them, and so hopefully it's not the last they see of me. But I'm doing a lot more singles and stuff right now, or me and White Mike as a team as the Ugly Sucklings. But either way, I definitely want to go back. But yeah, it's just everywhere we've been building up. Like we were on a show in somewhere in Pennsylvania, and the guy from WrestlePro saw us, and he booked us for WrestlePro. We've been on at WrestlePro. We've wrestled at Bar Wrestling and Maverick Pro out of California. We did WrestlePalooza in Minnesota. We've done Fest Wrestling and FIP in Florida. We've done Warrior Wrestling in Chicago. We've done GCW in North Carolina and in New Jersey and stuff, and Philly. We've just everywhere we go. Like I believe that crumbs make crumb cake. So I do little shows, I do big shows, I do all the shows because I want to build it up. I want to build everything, and I just want to keep going. So the bigger shows, absolutely, but I don't put those above other shows either. So it's like, yes, I could, like GCW, FIP, all those put me on the map. But the smaller shows, Chester, South Carolina, Action Pack Wrestling, some just these shows down south in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. If it wasn't for those, I wouldn't be able to hone my craft to where I'm ready for GCW, for FIP, for Warrior Wrestling, things like that. So they've definitely helped get my name out there more, but my preparation was there already. So I don't go into those shows unprepared.
You already referred to that because while you were especially known as a tag team wrestler in the 2010s, you became more known as a singles wrestler in the 2020s. And you have been both the Revolution Wrestling Authority World Heavyweight Champion in 2021 and the Revolution Wrestling Authority Extreme Champion in 2023. Can you tell us something about the title reigns and maybe also about RWA, which is a promotion from High Point in North Carolina, as a promotion?
Yeah, well, RWA, they're a fun promotion in High Point, North Carolina. They're one of the ones I talk about where they draw well, they do what they do well, like saying it doesn't overextend its means. And I have a lot of fun at RWA. I've worked for them since their first show back in, what was it, 2017 maybe? Yeah, but I've pretty much wrestled pretty much every show for them, at least 95% of their shows. But it's always fun. And yeah, they put their title on me, and I feel like at that point I had earned it because I'm consistent. They know how hard I work. They know that the fans like me there, that I draw fans there. And I mean, I think it was the right decision. Same with their Extreme Championship. And as you said, like I've been known as a tag team wrestler, but the thing is, that's a bit of a misnomer because I've been wrestling since 2004. Yeah, I've been in tag teams, but I've also been a singles wrestler. Even while I was a tag team, my partners, they would take weekends off. They would have a friend's wedding to go to. They'd have a wife's birthday, something, whatever. But I didn't take weekends off. Just because they were off didn't mean I was off. They'd be off. I'd still be going and doing singles matches somewhere. I'd be wrestling Shotzi Blackheart in the middle of nowhere, Georgia or something. I'd be wrestling Jay Lethal in New Jersey. So just because we were a tag team doesn't mean I was only a tag team. So even whenever they would take a weekends off, I wouldn't. I would still go wrestle singles. So it wasn't hard for me to make the jump from tag to singles because that's what I was already doing anyways. But RWA is definitely something worth checking out. They always bring in some past stars, and that crowd at High Point is always just super fun. I've got a show with them next week, February 16th. I've got a 2 out 3 falls match with Cameron Jackson for the RWA Cruiserweight Championship.
You've also become more of a tournament wrestler over the last years, and on September 24th of 2022, you won the Crazy 8 tournament from Ring Wars Carolina and the Elite Independent Wrestling Federation, which took place in Lumberton, North Carolina. What did this tournament win mean for you?
I mean, any tournament that I'm in, I try my best, and I have enough experience to where I could easily wrestle multiple matches in a night and each one of them be different. And that's what I tried to accomplish then. I got to wrestle some guys that I had never wrestled before, guys that I didn't know, or maybe one guy that I did know but I'd never wrestled before. and I feel like they got a good learning experience out of it. So did I. I think it was a lot of fun. Anytime I get to be in a tournament, especially going through to the end, I like to show that I'm valuable in that way, that I'm versatile, to show what I could do. The win. I don't know how to describe it, but I think like out of all the people there, I feel like I definitely deserved it because I earned it. I worked hard for it, and this isn't arrogance; it's just confidence. I'm very aware of my capabilities. I've done this for a long time without stopping. Even during the pandemic, even during COVID, I was only off 6 weeks. And that killed me because that's the longest I've ever not wrestled. I've been hurt a lot, but I don't get injured a lot. So I don't take time off. Like during the pandemic, I found shows like 6 hours from me in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, that were running, and I would cut them a deal, go wrestle for them, make more money on merch and stuff where it would be worth my while. And so I just keep going. That's what I like to do. Wrestling is what makes me happy, and I'm a big fan of the saying of Charles Bukowski: "Find what you love and let it kill you." And that's exactly what I've been doing for over 20 years now.
Speaking of tournaments, after having been a part of the Scenic City Trios tournament in 2017, you've been a part of the actual Scenic City Invitational for the first time last year in 2024, where you faced Rico Gonzalez in the first round. How did you like that match and the weekend as a whole?
Oh, I love the weekend. I had been trying to get into the Scenic City Invitational tournament for a while now. It was a big goal of mine, and once I finally accomplished it, I was very happy about it. But I knew that the work didn't stop there because I knew I needed to go deliver, and I knew some of the matches they had that night, and I knew I was going to need to really reach deep into my bag of tricks to pull out something special. And Rico Gonzalez, I can't think of a better opponent to do that against because he's crazy talented. He's a fantastic wrestler. And we've had a couple matches now, and we always enjoy working together. But that one, I would put that up there. That was definitely one of my favorites. I had something to prove. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time, but my passion doesn't wane. At no point am I tired of being there. At no point do I just not want to be there. At no point am I unmotivated. No, I still want to go kill it and do my best every show I can. And if you've seen any of my matches, that good, bad, or indifferent, the overall overarching theme, the common denominator is effort. That I always give everything I got. I try really hard, and I want to have the best match I can. And I think that night one, match one of the Scenic City Invitational Tournament, I feel that Rico Gonzalez and we definitely accomplished something special. A lot of people were telling us it was their favorite match of the weekend, which is a great compliment. Which I definitely disagree with, especially when you have Makabe and Kevin Koo. That was a phenomenal match. But I do appreciate when people tell me that, or when they think that my match was crazy or it was really good or creative or what. That's what I'm going for. So hey, I want you to enjoy my matches. I want you to put me over on the internet. I want you to buy my merch. I want to be able to make more money because of you.
If we go forward to this year started for you with appearing on AEW Dynamite, number 274, Fight for the Fall in 2025, where you had a handicap match alongside John Cruz against Powerhouse Hobbs. How was the experience? And as someone who has been appearing for AEW 3 times now, according to Cage Match, how was working for AEW different compared to the other shows that you already mentioned, like the more local shows? How is this experience different?
I really thought we had him there for a minute, but that didn't last long. So no, I have wrestled for him a few times. I've done extra work for him quite a few times. There's been times I've been security guard. There's times I just sit there and do nothing and just get paid to eat free food. I've done a dark match against Will Hobbs last year, in 2023. Then in 2024, I did a dark match against Serpentico, who's John Cruz under a mask. I don't know who he wants me to say, but I go way back with John Cruz, back to like 2016. We've wrestled each other, and we've known each other. We've teamed together. We've wrestled each other. Just all sorts of. So we're pretty close buddies, and So I thought it was kind of fitting that I had wrestled Hobbs in a dark match. I wrestled Trapinico in a dark match. Then on their first live Dynamite of the new year and their first stream on Max that I was on there, it was me and Cruz against Hobbs. I was thinking they were going to build up a three-way for the pay-per-view or something. You never know. But the the working there is super relaxed. I really enjoy AEW. Well, I mean, I know 85% of the roster anyway. So I just go around, talk to old friends, people I've wrestled, people I know, people I've been on shows with. So it's very relaxed there for me. I just go around, I talk to people, I hang out, I go to catering, I eat, I figure out what we're doing. It's not I don't want to say it's not a big deal because it is a big deal. But at no point am I just stressing about it. I'm not nervous, like, oh, I don't want to say it's the wrong thing, or I don't want to get kicked. No, they don't run their environment on fear. So it's just a very relaxed, just chill, use common sense, just be a dude. Just don't be an idiot, because there have been some idiots who aren't allowed back, but I'm not one of them. So there's I enjoy AEW. It's a very relaxed atmosphere, and I mean, there are worse ways to get paid on a Wednesday,
As someone who has been appearing for so many different independent promotions in the US, are there still promotions or regions where you have never been before and where you would like to wrestle?
Oh, there's plenty. I would definitely like to. Let me think of some. I definitely would like to get down to New Level in Alabama. I definitely would like to get to. Well, Deadlock Pro. I would definitely like to get back on there, but I did a joint show with them and Elevation Pro. I was on the Elevation side, but they were really impressed with my match, and they really seemed to enjoy it. They were all hyped about it, and great. And they had hit me up about a date later on, but I was already booked that day. And I could have made both because they were only an hour apart, and they started like 2 hours apart. But that wasn't. It just didn't work out, and now I may have lost my spot because I was already booked elsewhere. But I hope that's not the case. Hopefully, we can work something out soon. But yeah, there's plenty of places. There's places I want to go back to also, like GCW, Warrior Wrestling in Chicago, FIP in Florida, Battle Club Pro in New York. We are wrestling again. But I mean, there's Next Level. There's so many promotions I'd love to be a part of. Like I would really have to look up a list right now because I'm kind of drawing a blank. But I know there's places that I haven't gotten to wrestle for, or that I've only had discussions with. I know right before the pandemic shut everything down, I was talking to Prestige Wrestling, and we were trying to work something out. But then the pandemic shut everything down. I definitely want to get back out to California. I want to get to Defy Pro. I want to get to places I've never been before. I would like to get back to WrestlePalooza, First Wrestling in Minnesota. I've never been to Texas. I'd like to get to New Texas Pro Wrestling down there. I've been in talks with them a little bit here and there. It just depends on when it can happen, but I definitely want to go everywhere. Not just the places I haven't been, but also the places I have been. Also the places I've never heard of. I want to wrestle everywhere. I don't want to limit myself.
On Sunday, February the 16th in High Point, North Carolina, you will face Cam Jackson for the RWA Cruiserweight Championship in a 2 out of 3 falls match. As part of the show, as a part of the show, Bad Intentions. What are your thoughts going into this match?
Well, I think that Cam Jackson, he's been the cruiser. So I beat the Cruiserweight champion, Christopher Prince, in a non-title match months ago. Well, I didn't get my well-deserved title shot. Cam Jackson got it. He ends up winning the Cruiserweight Championship. So now my sights are set on him. It started out as a friendly thing. Then he wanted to cheat to win in our match. Then there's a triple threat match, and he wants to cheat to win that. Then we have a cage match. Then he wants to escape the door and win that just by the skin of his teeth. And now we have a 2 out of 3 falls match because there is no run. There is no hide. He's going to have to beat me twice if he's going to beat me this time. There is no cheating. There is no other opponent he can pin. There is no cage he can escape from. He's going to have to beat me twice. And that's why I chose a 2 out of 3 falls match. I think that come next week, we're going to have a new RWA Cruiserweight champion, and I'm going to add that goal to my list of all my other various long list of accomplishments.
1 week after that, you will have another championship match. You will face Nick Hamrick for the OSCW Intercontinental Championship on Sunday, February the 23rd at OSCW.
Oh yeah,
Sunday Night
OSCW.
Special.
That's a great promotion in South Carolina. That's just such a fun place, ran by great people, and I don't mean like that. I mean these are actually good people who run this show. There's no oh hey this guy's problematic or any racist or rapist or anybody around. Now this OSCW they got a strong fan base. They always draw a great crowd. I am their Intercontinental Champion, and I won their I won their Lord of the Ring last year. I got a ring and everything for it, and now I'm their Intercontinental Champion after defeating a very talented and game Alexander Moss a few months back. And I'm going to successfully defend that Intercontinental Championship against. I've never met the guy that I'm wrestling, but he better lace him up tight because whenever he comes, he's gonna whenever you step into the ring with me, especially in my home, well, you got your work cut out for you.
Are there any more upcoming shows that you will be part of?
Oh man, I've got so many upcoming shows. I've got Phoenix Wrestling Entertainment or Phoenix Wrestling Experience this Thursday in Augusta, Georgia. And then Saturday, I'm back in Augusta, Georgia for a different show for Next Level Pro Wrestling. I call myself the ace of Augusta, Georgia, because I've wrestled for IWE there for a long time, and Augusta is kind of an adopted hometown for me. I've got the RWA show, like you said. I've got OSCW coming up. I've got just a bunch of shows coming up. I'd have to look at my calendar, but I know that there's some open dates that I need to fill because I do not like openings. I do not like taking a rest. I do not like taking a break. I don't like days off. I wrestle every day that I can. So I know I've got shows Thursday, this coming Thursday. I got one Saturday and Sunday. I got one next Thursday. I'm all over the place. So it's easier to ask me what days I'm open, but I can't remember that right now either because I'm still trying to fill them. So I apologize. I know that's kind of a crappy answer. I wish I could plug a little more, but I'm not looking at my calendar at the moment. But I've got shows all over the place, shows I want to be a part of, shows that I am a part of, shows I want to help grow, shows that I want to help build. Just anywhere I am, whatever you can do. I've got PWF coming up on the 28th. And like I said, it's always an exciting time to be at PWF. Plus, I just get to go help teach those kids, too. It's always just a blast. So I'm just looking forward to what my favorite match is always my next one. I'm just looking forward to whatever comes next, whatever shows I got coming up. I can't wait. I always get excited. I always get a little anxious. I'm always ready.
Okay, Rob, that's it. We're at the end of the interview. And as always, the stage is yours. You can plug and promote anything you want.
Okay, well, please follow me on Twitter at I'm Rob Killjoy or at Three Mother Duckers. Also on Facebook, just find me, Rob Killjoy, the Ugly Ducklings. You'll find me. I don't have a Blue Sky yet. I don't have an Instagram. I don't have any of that, but you can definitely check me out on YouTube. Give me a follow, give me some likes, tell people about me, put me over on the internet machine, make me more money wrestling, buy my merch, come out, quack with me. Once you come out and you see me live, you won't regret it. I've got T-shirts. I've got duck calls. I've got stickers. I've got magnets. I've got some duck earrings. I've got ducks, and more ducks. I've got posters. I've got pictures. I've got all your duck needs. Help me out. I've got bills. Duck bills. So I'm just trying to get out here, make a name for myself, and spread my brand around. Because like I said, I don't know too many people that are disappointed in me, and the ones who are, normally they're the guys who are complaining because I was on TV and they weren't. So,
okay, Rob, thank you very much for coming on the show. I think this was a very cool, very interesting walk down the memory lane of your career, but also I want to add the match you had against Rico Gonzalez at the SI was one of my favorite matches of last year. It was an absolute banger.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. You should definitely check out our rematch we had a few months ago at Action Wrestling in Tyrone, Georgia, because I wrestled Rico Gonzalez again. When was it? It was just a few months ago. It might have been September, October. Sorry, my days all run together. I've just been doing this so long. I used to be so good at remembering, oh, I wrestled this guy on this date at this time. And now I'm just like, oh, nice to meet you. And they're like, we wrestled 3 times. Well, I'm sorry, CTE. My head's so big because it's swollen from all the CTE. But hey, I was very entertaining. You guys had a lot of fun. You can't wait to have me back.
And as always, thank you to you, Morbo, and thank you to you, Florian, and especially a big thank you to you, Bob, for coming on the show. As Morbo said, the match you had against Rico Gonzalez was really great and also one of my favorite matches of the weekend, and I was there live in person. So thank you very much for taking the time, and thank you to our listeners, and I hope you will listen to us in the future again. Goodbye.
Thank you guys so much. You guys were great. Thanks for having me.